I'll be surviving the next 24 hours in an extremely realistic Minecraft mod pack, experiencing dangerously realistic animals, a realistic weather and climate system, and a whole new crafting and welding system, in order to see how I managed to survive these 24 hours, which starts now. Like usual, you start Minecraft by chopping wood, except wait, in this case, you don't. If you try to punch trees, you take damage instead. So you have to collect rocks and sticks off the floor to make an axe. I collected a few rocks and kept exploring the woods. Is that a deer? An alpaca? After finding a variety of new animals, I finally had enough rocks to start making tools. I made a stone axe and a stone knife, which I made by shaping the rocks in a certain pattern. With my new stone tools, I could start chopping wood. The sun was setting soon, so I wanted to find a place to settle down. So I checked my map to see the terrain near me. Large snake? Oh yeah, we're leaving. I left the area immediately after seeing a large snake and found a spot near a river. I made a campfire out of wood and sticks to keep me warm and safe during the night. The next morning I set out to look for clay, which I needed for pottery. Okay, so I found some clay. I mined the clay and molded it into a ceramic jug, which I could use to carry water, and also made a vessel which I could use to smelt ores later on. I made a pit kiln to cook the pottery I just made. Okay, so now we have it. We have a pit killing. And I forgot to destroy the grass nearby, and everything caught on fire. Luckily, I was able to stop it and let the pottery cook overnight. It was the next day and everything was looking great. But that's when I ran into a huge issue. Water. Oh, okay, so this is what I don't understand. Is the water clean or not? The river water wasn't clean, so when I got dehydrated, there was a small chance of me getting poisoned. The first hour was now complete. To survive the rest of the 24 hours, I was going to need food. So I set out to hunt some animals. That's when I ran into another problem. Oh, is that a snake? Oh. Sadly, I died to the snake before I found any animals, but on a positive note, my clay ceramics finished cooking. I got this large vessel as a backpack which should carry 9 items at a time. I also made a filled pan that could sieve gravel for copper, which I needed to make my first set of real tools. After sieving for a long time, I was extremely fatigued. My vision was blurry and the world started going black and white. I was starving and wanted anything that would fuel me to keep going. I couldn't manage to find any food, so I ended up dying of starvation. After my tragic death on hour 2, I found my dead skeleton corpse lying on the ground. A clear reminder that I had to keep progressing to prevent this from happening again. So I did more clay work and put the copper I got from sieving in the vessel to start smelting ore. Luckily, the tree near my base didn't let the fire burn out. So when the vessel was done cooking, I poured the molten hot copper into a sawmill mold, but there was still a small problem. Oh, I actually don't have enough copper. After noticing I didn't have enough copper, I used the pan to get a lot more. And I also killed fish for food, which would be dinner for today. After a ton of hard work, I had the rest of the copper for my tools. Stick, and we finally have a copper saw. With my new copper saw blade, I could turn wood into lumber and turn lumber into a crafting table. After like 3 hours of playtime, we finally have a crafting table. Now that I had access to lumber, I could build myself a shelter. I made a ton of axes and got to chopping. 3 hours in, I began to build my house. It's going to take a while since gathering wood and making it into lumber takes so long. I got a little bored and went down the river to make a few discoveries. Yo, is that a salamander? After exploring the river, I crafted unlit torches using straws and sticks, and then I put it in the campfire, making it my first official light source. Finally. I continued work on my house and made my roof out of thatch blocks, since making the whole house out of wood would take way too long. After filling in the floor of the house, I realized I needed to hunt for more food. So I killed a rabbit I was going to eat for tonight's dinner. I placed the rabbit down and using a stone knife I got its hide and meat. And for the first time, had a delicious meal. Satisfied for my meal, I finished work on the house using a roof the mod added by combining lumber and wood. The house looks pretty simple for now since I'm still early in the Stone Age, but the exterior of the house is now complete. My house was complete by hour 6, but there's still a ton I have to do. Using lumber, I made a chest, a tool rack to put my tools on the wall, and a sluice which I could use to clean once I get some ore. Next, I need to get strings, and in order to get those, I have to make flint shears to get leaves and use a croak to get a silkworm. which when placed on leaves drops silkworms when fully infected. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's worth it because string has a variety of important uses. One of those uses is a strainer. I crafted a strainer base and placed it in the water. And after that, I made a survivalist strainer, which when paired together picks up stuff like gold, silver, clay, and other rocks. By hour 7, the strainer was getting a ton of materials and ore, but it wouldn't be enough to make progress. So next I set out to find ore veins, which in this mod pack you have to find the chunks on the surface and the ore would be directly below it. So I went exploring for any copper mineral I could find, and I found a few interesting things to say the least. Why is the pig so fast? Wait. Oh no! Oh no! I was genuinely surprised to see a rhino in the forest. It was actually terrifying, but somehow less scary than what I would find later on. Then I decided to get raw stone, which could be used to make a furnace and anvil. On hour 8, I kept looking for more copper ore. I found tetralite ore which melts into copper, so my search was complete. But before I went mining, I needed to get more raw stone. In the forest, a variety of dangerous animals could spawn in, so I had to be careful. But right on cue, I ran into a huge issue. It's a bear! The bear was right on my tail, but I got home safely. Even though it was cut short, the trip was still successful. I placed 3 of the raw stones I got, and on hour 9 I made an anvil, which I could use later on to weld tools. In order to use ores in the anvil, I had to melt them at hot temperatures, so I made charcoal by burning wood logs to make the process a lot easier. While that happened, I did some chores. I checked on my water for safety reasons. Why is the water yellow? Checked on my crops, used the pan for more copper, and hunted for fish. And after all that, the charcoal was finally ready. I mined the charcoal which I could use as better fuel and moved on to the next objective. By hour 10, I had an automated sluice system near my house. I placed the wooden hopper and the chest near the sluice, so when items finished cleaning, they would go in there right away, and I had no need to pick them up. Then I tried making a forge to use my charcoal, but I had a few complications. Why is it not working? I was upset because the forge wasn't starting, even though I did exactly what it said on the manual. Turns out I just needed to cut down the trees since the forge needed open air. I used the forge to heat up the vessel, and once it was hot enough, I poured it into the prospector's pick mold, which I could use to locate exactly where ore is when clicking it on the surface. I made a straw hat to protect myself from the heat, made a torch, and made my way to the copper site. I used the pro pick to see where the ore was. Okay, so look, found traces. After locating the ore, I dug down, but I had to be careful so the caves don't collapse. I managed to mine the tetralite safely and went back to the base. When you mine ore, you have to crush it with a hammer to get rocky chunks. Then those have to be washed in the sluice I made earlier. Good thing I placed a chest nearby so it would make things a lot easier. On hour 12, I went mining again, but it was a mistake. While mining ore, I accidentally broke an integral part of the cave and it collapsed on me. I kept mining because the cave was still unstable, but luckily I made it home in one piece. With enough copper, I made a chisel, which I could use to take the raw stone into smooth stone, which I could then use to make a quern and a handstone. I washed most of the crushed ore at the sluice, spent at least 3 full days crushing more ore, all to find out I still didn't have enough copper. Last time I was at the cave, it collapsed on me, so I had a bad feeling about the cave, and turns out I was right. After I died in the cave, I went back to my loot and decided it would be best to go back home. I thought taking the river would be faster because the current leads to my house, but I got bit by a piranha, so I was in critical condition. I walked back to my base and everything was fine, for now. On hour 16, I found this huge cave next to the river, hoping it would have more ore. Is there actually nothing here? Like at all? And that's when I realized I was infected. The piranha that bit me earlier must have infected me because I didn't properly take care of my wounds. After some exploring, I died of infection, but when I respawned, I was greeted by a huge surprise. Wait, I don't hear a zombie. Oh, it's me! When you die of an infection, your corpse becomes a zombie, meaning I have to defeat myself to get my loot back. Fighting myself was weird, but I ran past it, grabbed an axe, and killed it. After that traumatizing incident, I started working on a huge charcoal pit to burn all of the copper I just got. On hour 16, I found the tortoise again and worked on my next big task, a beehive. The beehive was going to be useful to get beeswax, which I need for a ton of crafting recipes in the future. I made the beehive using mostly wood and string, which I had a good amount of right now. I placed the beehive down, but in order for bees to spawn at decent rates, I need to place flowers around it. I collected a ton of flowers and placed them around the hive. I think that's enough flowers. Now there's a 1 in chance of a queen bee to spawn every single day. So for now, my job here is complete. I started heating up the vessel to smelt the copper and it was ready. I poured it into the molds, giving me copper ingots. I welded the ingots carefully, making sure they don't get too hot and are at the perfect temperature. And finally, on hour 18, I made my first double ingot. Let's go, finally. Yeah, it took a while, but I still need 6 more to make an anvil. But the only problem is I'm still low on copper. I went exploring for more copper deposits since the other one was flooded and broken down. And I found some strange things. Oh no. Why is it walking like that? Wait, does it smell me from all the way over there? No way. I was worried because I was far from my base in the middle of nowhere. I'm still looking for more copper ore. I can't seem to find any, but hopefully I find some soon. Uranium? Bro, how am I finding anything but copper? But after searching for so long, I finally found tetralite. Let's go! With the copper deposits located, my trip was now complete. So I made my way back to my base and killed a rabbit on my way there. It was hour 21, our time was almost up, so I had to make these last few hours count. I went back to the messed up cave near my house and using wooden support beams I stabilized it, letting me mine ores without any problems. I put the chunks to wash in the sluice, and while that was happening I went exploring. I killed the male alpaca for food, but that was a huge mistake because while I was collecting the alpaca's body, I ran into trouble. Oh no no no! Oh, why are they so fast? Wait, if I go in water will they leave me alone? They will not. Oh, why is it so fast? After I died I got my stuff back and went home, but I forgot one thing. Wait, where's my copper pickaxe? Don't tell me I lost my pickaxe. We are 23 hours in, meaning we only have 1 hour left to make the copper anvil. I smelt all of the copper ore and welded all of the ingots carefully like a true blacksmith. I made enough double copper ingots and let them cool down. And after so long, copper anvil, after 20 years. With the copper anvil complete, I had one single task before my time was up. It was early summer, so I wanted to prepare for the harsh cold winter. I made lime water in a barrel and placed the hide I got from animals in it for 7 minutes. While that soaked in the water, I started planting more crops. Tomatoes, onions. The hide finished soaking and I placed it on a piece of wood to cut it, and also collected jutes which could be useful for the future. I got the scrapped hide, which I can't really do much with yet since I still don't have a mixing bowl, but I'm glad I did the process so I would be ready for winter. And with that, my 24 hours are complete. These last 24 hours made me reflect on what it means to be human. How throughout history, billions of humans constantly overcome hardships and prevail, and live on to tell the next generations. My journey ends with a newfound appreciation for the small tasks in life, like eating food, water, and having a home. A true understanding of the indomitable human spirit.